Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? This is Jeff from BKJ Mag TV, and this is the BKJ Mag Podcast Experience coming to you live from the Big Apple. What's up? Today's episode, Season 4, Episode 12, we're going to be talking about Vybz Kartel, a famous Jamaican artist who finally won his appeal. This was a Hail Mary. You didn't even know if this was going to happen. This was literally his last attempt at an appeal. And he basically tested his luck. Him and his big friends and his associates tested their luck. And they won. So, in this article, Vybz Kartel star wins appeal over murder conviction. So he had been in prison since 2011, and basically the reason why he was in prison was because of one of his associates whose body was never found. So let me read a little bit on the article. Jamaican dancehall star Vybz Kartel conviction for the murder of an associate has been quashed after a London court ruled Thursday, March 14, that the conviction was unsafe due to attempts to bribe the trial jury a decade ago. In April 2014, Kartel was sentenced to life in prison for the murder. Was sentenced life for murder. It was crazy. So basically, there was a theory that the jury was tampered with. Somebody was trying to bribe the jury with a lot of Jamaican money to basically get non-guilty verdicts. So basically that didn't occur, and the juror who offered the bribe was allowed to remain on the jury, and eventually they found Vybz Kartel guilty and his associates guilty, and Vybz Kartel getting the life sentence with a minimum of 35 years, but upon appeal, the sentence was reduced to 32 and a half years. So you could imagine that, right? All right, so let's go into the article. Right now, he's currently 48 years old, and he's known for many famous songs, especially the 2009 hit Major Lazer collaboration Pon the Floor, which was heavily sampled by Beyonce's Run the World Girl. So Beyonce sampled Vybz Kartel on that song big time. Here's the explanation of why he was in prison, even though I mentioned it earlier. Let's see what the article states. Kartel was first in prison in Jamaica in 2011 following the disappearance of his associate Clive Lizard Williams. His body has never been found. Prosecutors allege Williams was beaten to death at Kartel's home in August that year after being lured there to answer for 2 missing illegal guns. So basically, this was over alleged illegal guns that was missing, and he was allegedly, the prosecutors are saying that Williams was led there and then they beat him to death, and basically they were never able to recover his body. I think that's a tragedy. That was very, very, very tragic for this young man. Hopefully he gets justice, but I don't think they have evidence that Vybz Kartel was a part of it. I mean, clearly this case is like falling apart from the seams. Apparently, the trial at that time had lasted 65 days, the longest in Jamaica's history. So if you go into Jamaica's history's trials, that trial lasted for 65 days, which is wild. This February, Kartel and his co-defendant Sean Campbell, Mr. Jones, and Andre St. John mounted their final possible appeal at the Privy Council in London. The Privy Council is the final court of appeal for Jamaica and some other Commonwealth countries. Their lawyers argued that the trial judge at the time wrongly handled allegations that one juror offered 500,000 Jamaican dollars, around 3,200 in American money, to fellow jurors to return not to return guilty verdicts. So one juror was literally, like I said earlier, was trying to pay to get the jury to vote not guilty, which raises so many different types of questions. But that jury was allowed to stay. Now, as a basis for the winning of the appeal, that jury was not allowed to stay, and that trial judge made an error in judgment. On Thursday, Judge David Lloyd Jones agreed and said that the trial judge's decision to allow the jury in question to remain on the jury was fatal to the safety of the convictions. The Privy Council has sent the case back to the Court of Appeal in Jamaica, which will now decide whether Kartel and his co-defendants should stand trial again. Kartel will remain in prison until a decision is made. So Kartel will remain in prison until a decision is made, and it depends. Will Jamaica decide to retry him again? Or give him time served? Who knows? Because he was sentenced to do 32 and a half years, and that happened in 2000. He was in prison since 2011. So he's already did 10 years off that sentence, more than 10 years off that sentence already. He would have about like under 20 years left on that sentence, pretty much. Yeah, so it's a tough ordeal. It's definitely a tough ordeal. But then again, that's the minimum he would have to do. A statement from the Privy Council reads, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council has concluded that the appeals should be allowed and the appellant's conviction should be quashed on the grounds of jury misconduct, and that the case should be remitted to the Court of Appeal of Jamaica to decide whether to order a retrial of the appellants for the murder of the deceased. So, we don't know. Should they? I don't know. During the initial trial, hundreds of Jamaicans gathered outside court chanting "Free Kartel" while police in riot gear guarded barricaded streets outside of Kingston Supreme Court. So if they were to do the trial again, if Jamaica was to do the trial, it would be at Kingston Supreme Court. About 200 people briefly broke through the barricades at one intersection shouting "Free Kartel" shortly before the jury started their deliberations in the afternoon. In 2013, another murder case against Kartel and two other co-defendants collapsed after prosecutors failed to produce evidence to support allegations that the trio killed businessman Barrington Bossy Burton in 2011. So there was another murder case, but it had collapsed in 2013 because the prosecutors in Jamaica did not have much evidence to link Kartel to that murder. But apparently they had evidence to link him to the original murder, but apparently things look a little hazy and they couldn't really prove. It's like you don't even know, to be honest with you. And because of that, he won the appeal. And let's see what happens. Let's see, will it go to Jamaica Supreme Court in Kingston? We gotta find that out. So it's up to Jamaica at this point to see if they will retry him and make sure. Let's see. Will he get a fair trial? Will there be new evidence admitted to prove that he didn't do it? We don't know. What will the prosecution team do? What will the defense team, what will Vybz Kartel's defense team do in this situation? We have no idea. But right now, he's enjoying this victory of winning his appeal, and his associates winning this appeal. So I guess it's one major step at a time in this battle. Will he get his freedom? Well, we don't know. So we will see. Thank you for listening to this episode of the BKJ Mag Podcast Experience. Peace, love, always. One.